Hey, Winter Middle School. How you doing? It's Mr. Curley here. Thanks for joining me for our return to school presentation number 2. The reason why we did a second presentation is because we have some new information we'd like to share and also follow up on a couple of different areas for all families to be aware of. So the main focus of today's presentation is to inform families if your child is, or I should say, opted to be fully remote. There's some information we'd like to share with you. We'd also like to share some first day information with all families and also answer any common questions that we received from our first presentation. We also want to share our Winter Middle School website. We have a tab called Hybrid Learning Information. And we also want to provide a brief 6th grade tour to help 6th graders find their home on the first day. So before we get started, I want to show everybody our Winter Middle School website. And if you come to winthrop.k12.ma.us, you can find our school. When you come to our website, we ask that all families check out this hybrid learning tab. Once you click on this tab, you'll see on the left a menu of options. We have our return to school presentation that we share with families before vacation. And again, I won't read through everything, but take a look at the menu options on the left. This will be a good point for families to reference once we start hybrid learning. All right, let's jump back to the presentation. All right, so we have some students who opted for full remote learning starting January 4th. So I had quite a few questions come in for some of these families, and I wanted to kind of ease the anxiety or answer any questions that came up. So for anybody who's fully remote, students are going to have the same exact schedule. Nothing's going to change. They're going to have the same Zoom links. That won't be changing. Students at home will be live with the students in school. The one difference that you'll see is that there'll be some more independent work or asynchronous learning activities. For example, your child may log into their class. The teacher may take attendance. They might go walk through some type of mini lesson or whatever is scheduled on for that particular class. And then at certain points, the teacher might break off and work with the students in person. And the students at home might have some independent work to complete. There might be opportunities where they're working in groups with people in school, where they might be working in breakout rooms. Again, that'll vary from class to class, grade to grade, team to team. So again, it's going to look a little bit different, but again, the students will be live with the students in school as well. The first week might look a little different. We're going to be spending a lot of time, and each grade level, it might look a little different just based on the age of the kids in terms of the amount of time our teachers and staff review safety protocols and expectations with the in-person students. With that said, so when you log on, the fully remote students, into your homeroom and all your classes next week, January 4th, okay, so that Monday, that Tuesday, Wednesday, everybody's remote, and Thursday and Friday, you're going to log on your Google Classroom. The teachers are going to take attendance, but there is a chance the fully remote students might just have some work to complete independently, maybe 1 day, 2 days, or possibly 3 or 4 days, depending on how the teachers or teams have set it up. So again, next week might look a little bit different, but the following week, you'll be live with your classes. And as we get more comfortable with our hybrid learning model for the students that are fully remote and the students in person, it's going to strengthen over time as our teachers get more accustomed to working with students at home and in person. First day of school information. All right. All families should be aware of the daily screening tool, and I'll review that shortly. All families should be aware of their cohorts, which I'll discuss in a bit. We'll discuss breakfast and lunch, what dismissal is going to look like, and that hybrid supply list. That was sent out earlier this week. So I want to bring it up to families, and I posted on our school website. So the items that we're asking students to bring with them starting on Monday the 4th, if possible, all students to bring in headphones, not Bluetooth headphones, something that could plug into a traditional headphone jack, 2 clean masks in 1 Ziploc bag, another Ziploc bag to use for a used mask. So say if a student decides to not use a mask for the rest of the day, we want to make sure that it's placed in that Ziploc bag so students know that that's the dirty mask. Shouldn't be used the remainder of the day. Pocket sanitizer and pocket tissues, and a water bottle. Water will not be sold at lunch, similar to snacks. So we ask the students bring their own water bottles, and we have dispensers around the school that they can use where it's touchless, where they just put it under the water dispenser and it'll fill up their water bottle. We do have masks if students forget or if a mask gets dirty. We do have plenty of sanitizer. We just ask the students bring these in because it's going to help students feel more comfortable when they're in the classroom setting or in the school setting. All right, let's jump back to the presentation. Now, some of our teachers discussed last week or so before vacation, some generic or general school supplies. Typically before the first day of school in September, you'll see a detailed list. That hasn't been shared out because we're still trying to identify what supplies students are going to need once we get into our hybrid model. So again, just bring in some general supplies that teachers mentioned. And over the first week, that'll be discussed in more detail with our students. So again, general supplies for the first week, and we'll make sure by the following week to have something set in stone for students so they're ready to go for hybrid learning. So we have a daily screening tool, which is on our website. I also linked it here and I'll show you. Every day, students should do this with a parent or guardian at home. I suggest you print out a copy and you put it somewhere in the house so you can always access it. Again, you can always access it on our website as well. If a child is unable to attend school because they answered yes to one of those questions, they can access their classes remotely if they feel well enough. There's going to be situations this school year where normally if your child's not feeling that great, but normally you'd be well enough to come to school. We don't want that this school year. If they fall under those symptoms listed, we want them staying home. If they're well enough to access their classes remotely, that's more than okay. If your child answers yes to any of the questions but does not feel well enough to attend classes remotely from home, a parent must call the absentee hotline. If a child is sick, it cannot attend their classes at all, whether they're remote or in person. Again, this goes for students that are fully remote. You must call the absentee hotline and explain the reason of why your child is out. We have to monitor our absences, and our school nurse must know the reason why. Before we jump to that screening tool, if we start to see a pattern where your child is constantly sick and not accessing in-person learning, we do have the ability to place your child in a full remote learning model. If you are a hybrid, it isn't pick or choose when you want to come in. If that's the case, we will place your child in a full remote model. We understand people get sick, so this is something we're going to track over the next couple of months for sure. Here is a copy of the daily screening tool. Now, this is something you're going to review every day with your child. If your child has any of these symptoms, they are asked to stay home. There's a couple of things regarding headaches and some other types of things that they would have to stay home if it's a combination of other symptoms. So we ask if a child is experiencing any one of these or any one of these bullets listed to please stay home and call the absentee hotline. This is for in-person students and full remote. Also, if your child's been a close contact within 6 feet for at least 15 minutes during the course of a day, they had to stay home. You are asked to contact the school nurse and notify her as well. If you travel to a high-risk state as defined by the Massachusetts travel order, which to be perfectly honest, is almost every state in the US. Or if you travel out of the country. If you've come close contact, there's different guidelines there. We ask that you contact our school nurse with any questions regarding traveling out of state or out of country before you return to school. And we'll jump back to our presentation. Cohort information. This was shared prior. Any student with the last name A to K is in our blue group, and you'll be with us Monday and Tuesdays in person. Our gold group is anybody with the last name that begins with L to Z, and you'll be with us in person Thursdays and Fridays. Students in the blue and gold, when you're not in person, that means you're remote from home. Now, we did have to make some changes in cohorts so we could make sure we could fit safely in all of our students in our classes. Ms. O'Neill notified those families via email before school vacation. And again, all students are fully remote on Wednesdays. Here's a biggie with the middle school. Students cannot attend in-person learning days if they are not scheduled. For example, if a child couldn't come in Monday, Tuesday, they cannot switch cohorts for the week and join us Thursday, Friday. Whatever you're scheduled, that's your cohort from now till the middle of March. All right, morning arrival, the first day of school. Families, unfortunately, we can't do what we normally do. Sometimes students get dropped off. They're getting pictures with their families outside the school with friends. I'm hoping next September, we'll be able to do that. For this school year, we're unable to do that due to social distancing and due to the pandemic. I do encourage you, honestly, getting our kids back to school is a pretty big deal for our community. So I ask is, whatever social media platform you use, take first day of school pictures outside or at home. If you want to say outside of your house, post them on your social media, because you know what? We want to create a great buzz in this community that our kids are back to school and we're doing it the safe way. I'll share out this presentation as well so you have it. So you can also click on the daily screening tool, which we already reviewed. Now again, parents, you must leave a message on the hotline on why your child is out sick. Please indicate if they were remote or in person on that school day. We need to track that for attendance purposes, and our school nurse needs to be aware. All right, morning arrival. Students can arrive between 8 o'clock and 8:25 and go directly to their homeroom. They're more than welcome when they get to their homeroom to use their phones, read, study, finish homework, etc. Typically on the first day of school in September, we have a lot of students outside the building before 8. That cannot happen. We are asking that no students get dropped off prior to 8 o'clock. Students who are walking should not be arriving before 8 o'clock. We do not have the ability outside before 8 o'clock to monitor your child. This is the responsibility of the parents. We ask that you follow these expectations to keep everybody safe. Breakfast is in the CAF from 8 to 8:20. Students, as I mentioned, cannot come in before 8 o'clock. We will monitor 2 entrances, which I'll discuss in a bit, and provide sanitizer for all students as they enter the building. If we realize that the plan we put in place for morning arrival isn't working, after the first week, we may look to make some changes. Morning arrival again. Again, students can be dropped off starting at 8 o'clock. Students in grades 7 and 8 will use the Winthrop Middle School main entrance, which is on Payson Street. Students will use the ramp or the stairs to enter the building. Now, here's the change that we've made from years past, and this is due to social distancing and trying to eliminate crowds. Students in grade 6 will use the entrance located in the staff parking lot. There's a ramp and stairs to enter, and I'll talk about that a little bit later on in the presentation. Students who are getting dropped off by a vehicle, we ask that you follow the map provided in one of our next slides. Please be aware of street signs because a lot of the streets are one way for drop-off and pickup hours at Winthrop Middle School. Morning arrival. If a 6th grader is being dropped off, we ask that you follow a drop-off route that's coming up. If a 6th grader is walking to school, they will enter the school from Cross Street. Cross Street is where Miller Field is and over by where the golf course is. There is a ramp from Cross Street that leads you right up to that door for the 6th grade. And I'll show you some pictures in a bit. Students should not be walking through the staff parking lot. It's going to be extremely busy this school year because families will be dropping 6th graders off through that parking lot. Okay, let's talk a little bit about breakfast and lunch. I talked about this in our last presentation. Breakfast and lunch is free this school year for all students. This is something that's across the state. Breakfast will be a grab and go each morning. They'll grab their breakfast and they'll grab a seat in a desk in the cafeteria. For lunch, you'll have 3 options: hot, cold, and some type of alternative. And each lunch comes with a milk. The cafeteria will not be selling snacks and water this year, just due to having too many students grabbing different things, and obviously not trying to transmit any type of virus from one student to the next. So I mentioned in an earlier slide, there's water fountains that are available to fill up water bottles. When students get in the building, they'll notice that they won't be able to use the water fountain like they normally do. The only thing that's available on the water fountain is a touchless feature where you put the bottle under dispenser and it'll fill it up. Here's a couple of things I mentioned in bold. We ask that all families try to have breakfast at home. Sorry for the typo there, everybody. On the first day of hybrid learning. So in the blue group, your first day is Monday. The gold, your first group is Thursday. We ask you try to have breakfast at home and not at school. Just the reason being is we want to get the kids, used to our first day protocols, get them to their homerooms. Obviously, if a student didn't have breakfast and really is hungry, we're not going to turn them away, trust me. But we just ask that as many students try to have breakfast at home on the first day. Similar to lunch, we ask if as many families can bring their lunch on the first day, because when we walk in, students will be walked by staff down in the lunchroom. And we're going to have to take some time to walk through our lunch protocols during lunch. And that's why we just ask that everybody tries to bring their lunch on the first day, whether it's Monday or Thursday, if at all possible. All right, morning arrival drop-off routes. Spend some time in our last presentation. So what you can see is we want families coming up Payson Street. It's because it's one way coming this way. So families can use Main to come up Payson. This arrow right here is for 6th grade families to come through our parking lot for drop-off. So if you notice the flow of traffic, everything's one way going up Payson, and then taking a left on Harvard or left onto Franklin to exit the school area. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email, but you'll see the one-way signs coming up in the presentation as well. Dismissal. We're going to have different dismissal times. So this is going to rotate every week. So for the first week of school, 6th grade will get out at 2:35, 7th grade will get out at 2:45, and 8th grade will get out at our normal time at 2:55. Each Sunday night, I'll send you that schedule, but it's basically just going to rotate on a weekly basis. All students will exit out of the Winthrop Middle School main entrance. Their teachers will be walking them down to the entrance, which will be their exit. And at that point, because of the staggered dismissal, we feel comfortable that we'll be able to eliminate crowds. We ask that students, disperse and head home and not gather. Now, if you're waiting for a sibling, a different grade, we fully understand. We just ask that students socially distance while outside. Here's the one-way signs to be aware of that I shared in the last presentation. So if you notice here, families cannot take a right coming out of, I believe that's Central. So again, if you're coming this way, you're going to take a left. We ask that you do not come down Central to drop off students, because if you decide to stop right here at the crosswalk, it creates a safety issue for students and staff who are outside. Here, if you notice on Payson, it's do not enter coming this way, because we're trying to create one-way traffic if you follow the arrow in this direction. Here, if you notice that students, or I should say, families that are driving or anybody in the community during these hours, which is morning drop-off and pickup, is you cannot take a left onto Payson Street. You must go straight across. I can't remember correctly if you can take that right there, if it's one way or not. But at the very least, you can go straight up this street here. And here's a picture of our school out front. This crosswalk is very busy, so we just ask that families are driving safely as they're coming down Payson. All right, that's it, other than some information for 6th graders. I try to keep this one brief because the last one was very long and detailed. If you have any questions, you can contact me at my email address, which is listed. Any questions for our school nurse, you can contact Nurse Bowie at this email address. And we can't wait for January 4th. It's been a long road to get to hybrid, and we're super excited to get our students back. Sixth grade families. Now, the rest of this presentation is for you. So again, seventh and eighth grade families, you're more than welcome to, not watch the rest of the presentation, as this is geared towards our sixth grade families now. Sixth graders, welcome to Winthrop Middle School. You've been learning remotely with us since September. We are super excited to have you in the building. We're unfortunately unable to do a tour due to the pandemic. So what I did was put together a brief little tour of how to help you on your first day get to your classes. I didn't do a virtual tour of the entire school just because I don't want to take away from your first week, because I know your sixth grade teachers are going to set up some time to walk you through the entire building. Do you know your homeroom number? I bet if I asked all 140 or so sixth graders, do you know your homeroom teacher? You would say, Mr. Curley, yes, I know who my homeroom teacher is. But do you know your homeroom number? Because you know what? That's going to be needed for the first day of school so you can find where to go. But I'm going to walk through those with you right now. If you are a Jaguar, here are the homeroom teachers. We have Miss E. Foley in homeroom 231 and Miss Schulteis, room 232. And I didn't forget about Mr. Brown, our third Jaguar teacher. He's in homeroom 234. So here you are, E. Foley, 231, Schulteis, 232, and Mr. Brown in 234. Those are the Jaguars. So sixth graders, make sure you memorize, if you're a Jaguar, that homeroom number. Next up, we have the Tigers. We have Miss D. Foley in room 230. And in 236, my apologies. And in 237, we have Mr. Domina. He was a little camera shy in the day of pictures. No, just kidding. Mr. Domina was in the building when I was going around taking pictures of the sixth grade staff. So Tigers, D. Foley is 236. Mr. Domina is 237. And now up on the third floor. So Jaguars and Tigers, you're the second floor. So that 2 in front means the second floor. So now, jumping to the Lions, who are on the third floor, right above the Jaguars and Tigers. We have Mrs. Carsley in room 327 and Mr. Kirby in 329. If you notice, even their Lions are all masked up to stay safe in the classroom. So again, Jaguars and Tigers are second floor, and the Lions are on the third floor. Sixth graders, how do you get into school? That's typically the most anxious part for sixth graders in the first day in September. And at least now you're at the point you know what your teachers look like through Zoom after months of remote learning. But I'm going to show you how you can get to your class on the first day. All right, sixth graders for drop off. This picture on the left, this is on Payson Street, right in front of our school. So right here, families are going to be taking a right into the staff parking lot. Okay. Now, as you come down the staff parking lot, there's this door right here, right near our loading dock area. There'll be cones set up on the first day, whether it's Monday, on actually every day for you enter, and there'll be a staff person out there, an administrator typically. And what you're going to do is you're going to get out of your car, you're going to walk up these stairs right over here. And we'll have administration outside and a staff person with sanitizer at the door. Again, this is for vehicles for sixth grade drop-off. You can't see it here. I'll talk about it a little bit here. There's a sign here that says staff parking lot. Families cannot park in the staff parking lot. Now, if you're meeting during a school day, that's different. And if you find a spot, that's okay. Families cannot park in the parking lot at morning drop-off and morning drop-off and afternoon pickup. Very important. If you're a walker, okay, this picture is taken from Cross Street, which is where Miller Field is and by the golf course. There's a crosswalk right here, okay? You can walk right up this ramp. It's going to take you to that same door that families dropped off in the parking lot. So walkers, you are not to cut through the parking lot. You're going to walk up this ramp to enter the building. Again, parents cannot drop off, cannot park in the staff parking lot during drop off and pickup hours. Even like, for example, it can't be 7:45 and you cannot line up there waiting because staff and different people need to access that parking lot. If you are walking, you should not walk through the staff parking lot. We want to keep everybody safe, staff and students. If students ride their bike to school, which is great exercise. There's bike racks all around the school. You may lock your bike at any location. And for sixth graders, I suggest locking your bike up here and walking right up this ramp. If you lock your bike at the front of the school, you cannot use that entrance. That's for 7th and 8th graders. So again, all sixth graders are going to use this entrance, and walkers, you're going to use the ramp. All right, sixth grade, we figured out what door to get you in on the first day. But when you get in the school, how do you find your homeroom? I put together a 3 to 4 minute video. All right, as you notice, there's a lot of stairs to get up to that second and third floor. I think Mr. Curley was a little bit out of shape when I was taking this video, so I apologize. All right, so let's go from here. Check it out. There'll be staff here with sanitizer. As you walk in, you're on the first floor. And you're going to go up to the second floor. You're going to use this stairwell. Now, if you're going to grab breakfast or lunch, you're going to go through these doors and take it right into our caf. For the first day, hopefully everybody's had breakfast. So you're going to go up the stairwell. We're going to go up to the second floor. And as you get up to the stairwell, you get a great view of the baseball field. As we get up to the second floor, you'll see an arrow. On the second floor, we have the Jaguars and the Tigers. These doors will be open, so we'll take a peek. As you come down to the green, now you know you're in the area of the Jaguars and the Tigers. .231, Miss Foley. .232, Miss Schulteis. We have our beautiful project areas here. .234, Mr. Brown, those are the Jaguars. The Tigers, .236, Miss D. Foley. As we come down here, .237, Mr. Domina. As you look down this hallway, this turns into the 7th grade hallway. All right, let's head back down to 6th grade area where we came from. And I want to show the 6th graders the Lions area. Now the difference is these project areas won't be used as much due to social distancing. But in a normal school year, it's great space for students to work on projects. Here's a video of our learning commons, which is typically used by the high school. So now we're back where we were before. Here's our sign. Second floor, again, this is Jaguars and Tigers. And if you notice here, Jaguars and Tigers. We're going to go up to the 3rd floor. So this is the perfect entrance and stairwell to get to 6th grade. So again, looking over the beautiful baseball field. Another sign with our room numbers. Now in the area of the Lions. So if you see here, Lions area, their project space is orange. We have Mrs. Carsley, room 327. Mr. Kirby, 329. Second and third floor look almost identical. And as I keep walking down, so similar to second floor, you would 7th grade below. And on the 3rd floor, you can have 8th grade classes. Bathrooms are all in short walking distance from the 6th grade. In 6th grade, don't be nervous. Your teachers are going to give you a tour on the first day. I just wanted to give you a short little video how you're going to get into school the first day. With the middle school, let's make the first day a great day. Now, 6th grade, I hope you found that helpful. And as I mentioned at the end, our goal is on the first day, whether you're the blue group on Monday or the gold group on Thursday, is to give a tour by your teachers to the entire school. So I hope you found the video helpful in terms of how to find your classroom or your homeroom on the first day. So 6th grade, how do you know if you're ready for the first day? Do you know which door to enter? We covered that. Check that off the list. Are you getting a ride, walking, or riding a bike? We talked about that as well. Check that off the list. Do you know your homeroom teacher and your homeroom number? Hopefully you do. You can check that off the list. Did you bring items that are on the hybrid supply list? If you did, check that off the list. If you know all those answers, you'll do great in the first day. Because you know what? We understand the first day, is a little bit different this school year. So once we get you in the building and walk through our safety protocols, it's going to be a blast. We're super excited to have everybody back into school. My last message is see you all on January 4th, if you're the blue group, and January 7th, if you're the gold group. With the middle school 6th graders, enjoy the rest of your vacation, and I'll see you soon.